Hi, this is Ed. Welcome to Ed's Pop-O-Matic Podcast, a retro pop culture podcast where everything retro beats the new if you keep it in your heart. Tonight, we have a very special show. We are celebrating Paul McCartney's 82nd birthday. And this year, Paul McCartney has given us a gift. New release just last Friday. It's a new CD, vinyl, digital release, whatever, called One Hand Clapping of Wings. Rehearsals there. Fred's got it. Kids got it. Everybody's got it except for Mark.
I got this. Yeah. Mine,
He's
mine
got a
comes in
Ringo
Friday.
album.
Mine comes in Friday.
That's okay. I don't have the physical copy either. But anyway, so it's essentially it's Wings rehearsing for what was a proposed TV show or upcoming tour. It kind of goes back and forth as to what this exactly was for, but it's the new release. It's very exciting to hear. Wings, circa August of 1974, and we're gonna get started talking about this. With first, I'd like to introduce everybody that's on the panel. And we do have Dan Costin coming in, so let me just get Dan in here before we get started. And here he comes.
Here he comes.
Walking down that street. Where's the funniest looks from everybody? Everyone
he meets.
Sing it, Tom.
Come on. Hey, it's Daniel Costin.
Danny.
There
Oh, Danny boy.
You'll be taking
Danny
pictures.
Hey there.
Hey, Dan, how you
Hey.
doing?
Pretty good. Good to see you guys. I've missed you guys. It's been too long.
We missed you
We
too.
do.
Yeah.
He's a very busy man. It's hard to get around. So let me
It is.
introduce everybody that's on the show today. We have two friends of mine from the three friends from my plastic EP days, which are still going on. It's just not as frequently as they used to be. So we have Fred Velez. Morning, Fred.
I hope.
You and Mark Arnold and Daniel Costin.
Hello.
Hello.
Daniel's one of the premier photographers in North Carolina and shooting everything, and he's producing all kinds of music and everything. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. Fred's always got something going on with the Monkees, and Mark's writing like a madman between his Fun Ideas podcast and he's writing a new book on the Turtles with Charles Rosenet.
It's
I
out.
want to hear
It's
more
out.
about
It's
that
out.
later
It's
on.
out.
There
It's
it is.
out.
There it is.
Oh,
We
it's
want
out.
to hear
Yes.
a little bit about that.
You're not calling it Happy Together, are you, Mark?
No, we're calling it Not Just Happy Together.
Okay.
It's not just.
The Turtles from A to Z, AM radio to Zappa. There we go. Without cutting it
Very
off.
cool.
Excellent.
Cool. We have two legs with us. We have both legs of the Two Legs podcast. We have Tom Hanyadi. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
And
Hello,
Andy
Ed.
Nichols.
Thanks for having me back on.
Hello, Ed. Thanks for having me on. Good to see everybody
This
tonight.
is the first time that Andy's been with us. Everyone else I've introduced so far has graced the podcast before. So very happy and fortunate for that. Andy, how are you feeling?
Feeling great.
You're
Feeling
feeling
pretty good.
great. That's
Little-
great.
A little tired.
A little lighter in the wallet, though, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
Tom and Andy of course, they do the wonderful Paul McCartney Two Legs podcast, but they're also very avid collectors, and so I guess they. You've been out shopping or record day shopping or things like that.
Well, no, I got up
Oh,
at 4 o'clock
yeah.
this morning, and I got 2 tickets for Paul's show in Manchester in December, and he
Oh, wow, that's
Wow.
fantastic, man.
VIP row 2.
Ooh.
We're not worthy.
Wow.
We're not worthy.
That's
Exactly.
fantastic, Andy.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Ed, when I messaged you. Yeah, I was going with Susan Ryan, Jim Ryan, and my friend Heidi, otherwise known as the MVP. For the four of us,
that's
we'll
fantastic.
we'll be going over to England in December for 2 nights, which is, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. I really don't. Laugh because it's going to be great, or cry because of how much expensive it was.
Well, you know what? It's going to be a great time. So laugh as much as you can, cry when you get home, and you got to pay the credit card. You know.
You got it. You got it.
But you know, that's great. And I had seen Susan had put that down on her Facebook page. I did not know that you were involved in that. I'm very glad to hear that. And so that's exciting. So we have Ed Crawford, a gentleman also known as Mr. Broad Street. He does a YouTube page where he's got a YouTube channel. He's got all his videos where he talks about Beatles stuff and particularly McCartney stuff and all kinds of things. And he'll tell us more about that. Ed, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Just thank you very much, Ed, and good to see some familiar faces again, meet some new faces, and I can't wait. I'm excited. Let's do it.
It's always good to have two Eds. Two Eds are better than one, I say. All right. Let's see. Who else are we missing? Anybody we're missing? We're missing Kiddo
Queen.
The Queen.
Queen.
The Queen is with us tonight.
We've forgotten Billy Preston.
There you go.
Oh, it's the Queen.
The Queen Kid O'Toole. She's an author. She's written her books. The song is they were singing the late a guide to the lesser known Beatles tracks and Michael Jackson FAQ, Fandom and the Beatles volume written with Ken Womack, and when she's not fighting off the cicadas, she's also cicadas that haunt her in Chicago there. She's preparing classes at Monmouth University, and I've enjoyed taking those with her, and dedicated team of people that enjoy her classes. Anyway, so you are here, and
we are here.
So let's chat a little bit about the new release. Fred, can you give me some of your impressions of this as far as, is it new material? Is it bootlegged, just made it sound better, or anything along those lines?
Well, as if you know the history of it, it's a film that a filmed rehearsal that they did at Abbey Road Studio. It's basically a live concert in the studio, and it's not the first time it's been released. If you got the Band on the Run set, this is the 3-disc version, which has the album, the outtakes and stuff, but also an extra DVD, which has One Hand Clapping the Film on it.
Now, was the 25th anniversary release?
No, that was the
2010.
Right, 2010.
The first release of the archive series.
Okay. Right. Okay.
And that included, and I have the Best Buy version, which had an extra DVD included.
Very
so
cool.
So that's I think that was the first official release of One Hand Clapping.
Right.
And if correct me if I'm wrong. And then we got this past week. I got the vinyl version with the bonus EP with the backyard songs on it. So this was really great because what I really enjoyed was the performances on this. All the songs are wonderful. The band sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Now who's the drummer on this again? It was
Jeff Britton.
Jeff Emmerich, right?
Jeff Britton. Emmerich was there though.
Yes. Yeah. Jeff Britton, and it comes with the brochure for the TV film, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And Jeff Britton was a very good drummer. I mean, you could hear him on Junior's Farm, the single.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a shame that configuration of Wings didn't go out. I understand there were personal issues involved, which is sad.
Yeah.
But they got Joe English, who was a very accomplished drummer himself. So
he came in later for the Venus and Mars sessions.
Right. And I'm really hoping that Jeff Britton is getting a piece of this, because it's really excellent. And the fact that this is charting in England is amazing. I think it's like what, number 3? It
Number
actually has
3
a chance
midweek.
to.
Yeah.
It actually
Now,
has
I
a chance
believe that I heard on the Sirius XM is doing an interview on the Beatles channel with Jeff Britton tonight. Hopefully it'll be made
cool.
available, so maybe it'll be available on YouTube or something like that, but that should be fairly interesting to hear.
Right. Well, hopefully it has a chance of knocking out Taylor Swift for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, of course, you know, she got enough.
Yeah, but among my favorites on this recording, Soily, wow,
Yeah, wow.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And they actually on YouTube, you can see the video of the actual performance there. Bluebird is good. I like the other one that stands out for me is, let me find it. 1985, incredible.
Yeah, that's good.
With
We'll go through the track listing in just a few minutes, but let me just
right,
get
but just
some other
overall,
folks in there.
Overall, I'm very pleased with this release.
Okay, so let's start with the track listing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the first couple of tracks, and then each person can kind of comment on them if they'd like. Tom, let's get over to you. One Hand Clapping and Jet. How do you feel about those two tracks?
Well, One Hand Clapping is a fine little jam, which shows that they can jam. You know, maybe even better than the Beatles can jam, because the Beatles aren't really known for being a jam band. But
Right.
I enjoy that. And then Jet is, though I feel like there's better live versions of that one. I think this one is very good, and it's very fast, and you can tell it's they're a pretty tight band. I really enjoy this version of Jet. It's good.
You know, to me, it's what I enjoyed it is the energy. Is that it is a more or less it is a live performance, and a lot of times, it comes across as overly rehearsed or whatever, and this seems a little bit more off the cuff. A little bit more
Right.
little bit more energy involved, and I really enjoyed that. The one hand clapping, it's something that I would have I never had heard that before, and I was
No, nor have
curious. I was curious about whether Paul could have expanded it. Similar to Rockestra, where Rockestra was an opportunity for a real jam on that. What was the start of a wonderful piece, and it's a good rocker. But if they had expanded it with considering all the musicians that were involved in that, would have been better. They could have done similar with One Hand Clapping.
Maybe, but I mean, it's just, I think it's just made for an introduction to what was supposed to be a TV show, and I think I mean, at 2:15, I think that's plenty enough that you get the point across. Jimmy is fantastic on it, and I think at 2 minutes and 15 seconds is good enough myself.
I also wonder if maybe it should have been added into the Venus and Mars album, perhaps coming in after the Venus and Mars rock show medley, rather than going into Love and Song, which I thought sort of, as much as Love and Song is a pretty little song, I think the One Hand Clapping might have moved it a little bit more easily into something softer. Anyway, that's my thought. Okay.
I think Venus and Mars has enough on there already. I don't think it needs
does. It does. It really,
too
really
much,
does. Really does. Okay, so let's move on. Fred talked about Soily, which really was just a dynamite version. Really, really good. Sea Moon, Little Woman Love, and Maybe I'm Amazed, and My Love. Really, really good versions there, I thought. Mark, you want to share anything with us regarding those songs?
Well, I mean, you at least refresh my memory that these were released in 2010, because that's probably the last time I listened to them. So I really don't have any commentary on it until I get the release. The most recent thing I got was this, which we haven't even talked about.
The
underdub version. So anyway,
Maybe I'm Amazed. The Maybe I'm Amazed would have been on the 2011 McCartney archive set.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
I was
Anybody
getting all
else wanna-
those, but
Anybody else want to comment about?
I'm not good at
those
commenting
songs?
on for this today. Sorry.
Okay, Mark, no problem. We got other stuff to talk about.
I actually, well, I'll just comment on, I like the version of My Love of all the three mentioned. I loved this version. I thought the harmonies were tight. Paul's vocals on this were just, I mean, this was just the peak of Paul's vocals here. I thought, really soft where they needed to be. I loved his ad libs on here. I mean, yes, people say, oh, whoa, 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 is enough of the whoa, whoa, whoas. But here I thought, I liked the extra ad libs here. Jimmy's guitar solo. I mean, I'm sure he was told, okay, you have to copy the original. He did, but still, really superior here in the strings. Beautiful
Cool.
strings here. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, who was speaking?
No, I was just gonna say maybe I'm amazed. I enjoy it, really enjoy it. I enjoy the it's definitely, of course it's sounding a lot closer to the 1976 version that we would all sort of know released as the actual single, but I really enjoy that version, even though I've heard it for a while. I just love, obviously having it on here, and great version, wonderful version in my view.
I love any version of that song, really. It's just, it's to me, it's perfect song.
He hadn't quite perfected how to end the song yet, though. He was still kind of fine tuning how to end the song as a live piece at this stage.
Do you think it would have been possible for Wings to go out on tour, let's say, at the end of '74, and then hold off on the new album until?
I don't think he could, because he had visa problems. He couldn't tour America at that time.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
If he could have, I think they would have, especially given the success of Band on the Run. If he was all clear to tour, they would have been for sure touring, but he couldn't.
Okay. Yes, he's got a little bit of a reefer, whatever you want to call it, problem. Yes.
Reefer madness.
Reefer madness.
Reefer madness.
Okay. So, Daniel, have you gotten a copy of this album yet?
I have not, but I've been listening to individual tracks online. The one thing I've really enjoyed about this is kind of redresses the balance of this era of Paul and Wings. I think a lot of people thought, okay, Jeff was the drummer in between Danny Sywell and Joe English, but it's like, man, this band sounds great. And I know some people were a little peeved that they didn't release the video again with this recording, but actually hearing it just a standalone audio, you go, man, this is a kicking band.
I think Jeff Flynn in particular, particularly on Soily, I mean, he's pounding on those drums.
Yeah, he has
really good.
He has a little more of a different edge than Denny or Joe did. Really, he is kind of unique drummer especially in the Wings canon. So I really, and I hadn't heard that much of this era live because there wasn't that much. So because of the things we just mentioned, so it's really nice to hear them them live at Abbey Road. I think I'm okay with that. I think that sounds like a good place.
Yeah, and wasn't it amazing that in the 1976 Wings tour that Paul would choose at the time an unknown song to end the show on, and it's such a fantastic song, and I was waiting, when's this going to come out? What's the name of the song? What is it? When I first saw them do it in Madison Square Garden, and I was glad that when the single of the live single of Maybe I'm Amazed came out, that Soily was the B-side. So, and also the Wings Over America album too. So I'm glad it came out.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let me just see if there's anybody else trying to get in here. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, great. So, the other aspect of the album is essentially a piece where McCartney did sessions on his own in the studio. And he does things like Power Cut and Love Me Baby and Let's Love. And he does a lot of small C stuff there. How do we feel about that kind of stuff? Was it overkill? Or maybe they should have cut out a few of those, add a few more.
No, it's part of his DNA. He loves that stuff. I think it's great.
It's filler, but it's good filler.
It's Paul in the moment. Paul's on top again. He's going, hey, I can do what I want. Although I will say that listening to this again, it's good, But man, if he had done an acoustic version of more stuff from Ram, I'd have been all over that. So,
Oh,
yeah.
man, yeah, sure.
yeah, give me the solo piano or guitar version of Backseat of My Car. I'd be just fine with that thing.
I'm sure there's stuff that, I mean, if they ever do the sound check
Mhm.
archive, I'm sure he would probably have something along those lines in a sound check release or something along those lines, because this is him just doodling away in the studio. I got I'm paying for it. I don't care. I'm Paul McCartney. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna play all these old songs, or a couple of songs that I've just came up with, or whatever, and I'm just gonna noodle around on the piano, and it's incredible, you know.
Well, you noodle around on that and we'll macaroni on this, okay?
I know. To me, the gift also on this is that, you know, I miss the Paul McCartney voice that I loved when I was young, you know, and that we all loved, and that, you know, we're never going to really hear that again on a new release. And while I really like a lot of the later records, you know, hearing him as so live and so rich in his voice on these and these performances is very exciting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I love the stripped down performances. I mean, I'm a sucker for like unplugged and just, you know, him and the piano, as you were saying earlier, like something like Tomorrow. I love hearing just him on the piano, you know, slowed down. It really made me look at that song in a new way. I loved that.
Yeah, and then the stripped down version of Sally G, you know, just
Whoa,
having the acoustic
on
guitar.
the acoustic guitar,
wonderful.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if you got the EP, you got a version of Country Dreamer, which is fun because he's trying to remember he's trying to remember the words.
And the other nice thing about this selection of songs is that he's going through the entire Wings catalog. Right, he's going from Wildlife and several tracks from Wildlife into the Band on the Run period, and to what he's working on in the singles that they had in between. So he's really working up all this material that he's got to be able to prepare for what might be an upcoming tour, or seeing how the band works out as they head into making the next record.
Yeah. Can I just interject something?
Please.
Wildlife was not really one of my favorite Paul songs, but I like the version that's on this album. I think it's really
It's
fantastic.
a better version, yeah.
The better version.
Really good.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say the better version, but I do like that, you know, Denny Lane, he does the first little bit about, you know, the word wild applies to, you know, that's pretty cool, but I tend to always prefer originals over, you know, live stuff, although some of the live stuff on here is fantastic.
Just to get an idea about the Wings picture at the time, it would have been nice if there was another Denny track other than Go Now. You know, if they had done, worked on the Again Now and Again and Again. There was the I Lie Around, things like that. I Would Only Smile. That would have been fun to have thrown in there. One of the things I also like about this kind of thing, as kids said, about having something that's unplugged or underdubbed or whatever, is you kind of get the feeling of these guys working out songs still, you know, how we're going to present them. Now, considering a song like Band on the Run is essentially 2 or 3 songs put together, I would have really liked to have seen how he kind of put them together, how those songs were, and sort of get an education as to how he was able to arrange them that way. I think sometimes Paul tries to be too perfect, and then not perfect enough with certain decisions that he makes. Because you know, I'm not afraid to see his warts. He's been there as great a songwriter and performer and writer and recording artist that he's been. There are enough warts in the catalog that show that, you know, okay, he doesn't always make the right decisions. He doesn't always know what the single is. He doesn't always make the right do the right thing with the songs. And so I would like to see something that's more of a working version
Yeah, we get it. I mean, this is a work in a way, though, a kind of working version because here he is, with two band members, and they're trying to work out all the warts and the wrinkles, as you say. So in a way, this is a kind of in work type of thing here. And then, as opposed to and in regards to your Band on the Run thing, I think some credit has to go to Jeff Emmerich with that too, connecting all three parts of that
Right.
song together. So we
Right.
should definitely mention Jeff Emmerich in there as well.
Andy had mentioned something I had seen your podcast on this album a few days ago. Andy made some remark regarding the Junior's Farm. By the way, you guys got to check out the Two Legs podcast. You got to check out Talk More Talk podcast, Solo Beatles podcast. You got to check out. I'm sorry, I did do this in the beginning of the show. You got to check out Toppermost and the Toppermost, Kid O'Toole and Ed Chen podcast. So all these things you got to check out. But in listening to the Two Legs podcast the other night, and Andy was talking about Junior's Farm and how, again, he sort of pieced several versions of the song together into one. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that, Andy?
Yeah, I can only remark on what Adrian Sinclair told me, because he's the one that actually did all the work,
right,
and detective work and sleuthed it out. And Adrian Sinclair, if you don't know, is the co-author of the McCartney Legacy book, and he's the one who found it all out. And I didn't even know about it. And he sent me a message on WhatsApp, and there was one for like some of it was the official take. Then one was like the count-in is from a take in August. Then there's one, the Take Me Down Jamie, then versus the Take Me Down James. It's all like a whole bunch of different versions like thrown in there together. But AJ, yeah, I think it's at least 3 different versions from the official and a couple of rough cut outtakes that make this new version on One Hand Clapping now.
Yeah.
And it's once he explained that to me, I could hear it stand out easily.
I wonder too if maybe the works in progress portion of it, which obviously we all love, was one of the things that kept Paul from releasing this back in 74, 75. Obviously, Paul had a vision eventually of what he wanted Wings to be, and much as we love listen to this go, now this is great, but I think Paul was still pushing for something more, and maybe that and other issues was one of the reasons why he held us back for so long.
Well, you have to take into account also that McCartney was being criticized horribly by the rock press and so forth, based on the initial releases of McCartney and Ram and.
I think we were past that already by this time.
But doesn't that still affect your psyche when you're putting out a release? Okay, I've had success with Red Rose Speedway, and I've had success with Band on the Run.
He just got critical acclaim with Band on the Run, so that was the first album that the Landaus and Rolling Stone were like, okay, this is good. So those reviews of Wildlife and Ram and Red Rose Speedway were still pretty fresh. So I'm sure even though he got a glowing review with Band on the Run, he still had to have his guard up still.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, wasn't he still getting criticism for supposedly breaking up the Beatles?
Sure, absolutely. Of
course, it's part of it too.
Yeah. And Jeff Britton was only in the band for a few more months. So once he leaves,
right,
on. Yeah.
Well, I was very pleased the fact that when Band on the Run came out, the original album, that John Lennon liked it and told Paul that he liked it. I think that really
sort of helped him too. Yeah.
Yeah, that really boosted his confidence.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, so let's step away a little bit from the new release, which I'm all very excited. We're all very excited about. I want to introduce to my audience those who do not know him, Ed Crawford, also known as Mr. Broadstreet. As I said earlier, he has his own YouTube page called "Call Me Mr. Broadstreet," where he talks about, oh, look at that, there you go,
and
that's the book signed by Paul.
Nice.
Oh, thank God, that's good.
No,
Ed, that's the magazine I was talking about the other night, or the book that I was talking about. That might have the name that that Paul and Linda dedicated that cup to.
In fact, I'm about
that might be in the
bring it
credit.
out again. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Jay Dipple.
I have that book at home somewhere. I have to look around and find it. But yeah, that was a beautiful piece of work to put together.
Oh,
Look
wow.
at that.
Oh,
Oh,
my
look at that.
goodness.
Fantastic.
All going glam.
Oh,
So,
man. Yeah, the Ziggy Stardust thing, man.
David Bowie stuff up there.
They
So-
should put that Blu-ray out this year.
Ah.
Yeah.
Paulie played guitar.
Yeah. Crew item. The crew item I bought, but I know some of you are already familiar with it. Oh,
Is that a
come on.
beer stein that
Oh, wow.
says what?
Very
Broad
cool.
Street on that?
It's a
This is
yeah,
Broad
in
Street.
regards to Broad
Wow.
Ah, that's
very-
wonderful. Wonderful.
Street. So Jay Dipple. This was given out to cast and crew. So
Oh,
this is
wow.
Top Story UK that I picked it up from, and
Very cool.
yeah, certificate of authenticity, all that stuff. No, I'm still afraid to drink out of it, Tom and Andy.
Really?
It's like, oh yeah, I'm like, no, man, it's like it's a couple $100 cups.
Throw it
can't
in,
drink-
throw
you
it in
can't
the,
drink
throw it
Kool-Aid
in the
out of that.
freezer. Throw it in the freezer, and then you can make a root beer float with it or
Throat.
something.
Yeah.
Or something
My heart's racing right now. Just
I thought you were gonna say, throw it in the fireplace.
Yeah, good idea.
Time.
A little Kool-Aid and vodka or something like that. You know?
Yeah, you're right. Just throw it there. There we go.
Yeah, of
I
course,
wanna
it's
do
the
this on
weed,
my
man.
Hold on to that thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm holding on with both hands. But
But
yeah,
that's very
yeah,
nice.
yeah, that's Fred. That is awesome. Is there any way to just see that one more time? Just an autograph? That
Oh,
is
for
just
sure.
cool.
I can tell you the story behind this too.
Please.
There you go. Paul and Linda. This was 1986 when the Press to Play album was coming out. He was doing a lot of promotion, including at Radio City Music Hall. Somebody I knew at the time told me that Paul was going to be at this TV studios on the West Side to do an interview, and that if I rushed over there right away, I might have a chance to see him. So I said, I got to grab something to sign, and I grabbed this, because I didn't want to get a Beatles thing. I wanted to get something that was solo. So when I got there, there was already like a small group of fans, so that was good. It was a small group, and then Paul, Linda, and their publicist came out, and they said hello, and they signed autographs, and Paul signed this with Linda, and Linda was so sweet. She when she was signing, I said, "How are the kids?" I said, "Oh, they're doing fine. Thank you very much for asking." I think she was very pleased because all the attention was on Paul, and here was somebody paying attention to her. So
Yeah, that's nice.
and then when they got into the limo, they pulled up the darkened glass, and I was just staring there, and I gave him the wings, this like this, and Paul opens up and says, "Goodbye, everybody." So that was, and then on the bus ride home, it hit me. Said, "I just met Paul McCartney."
That's a heady experience, man.
Fantastic! I absolutely met
Very cool.
one of the top moments in my life as a fan. Of course, that cup Ed has is nice. I don't know if it'll top this one, but
Oh, look at that.
That's from
That's
MPL.
very nice.
thank you.
Is the mug in mono or stereo? That's the question.
Stereo mono.
Nice one.
So one is like diet soda, and one is caffeine or decaffeinated coffee.
What am I?
So yeah, you can either drink decaffeinated or caffeinated coffee.
I drink caffeinated.
Caffeinated. There you go. All right, cool. So let's get over to Ed and talk about Broad Street a little bit. And everybody can chime in, please, with some regards to giving regards to the movie. First of all, I'm gonna throw out my opinion on it. I loved it. I saw it twice in the same day when it came out I guess it was June of '84, and it was absolutely magnificent for me to get into that movie theater. And again, it wasn't a crowded movie theater, but big screen. Paul McCartney's in that limousine. The camera pans up, and all of a sudden you see his face. Oh my God! That 12-year-old girl inside of me. That is not really me, but he just screams. And, it's just, I can't help myself. It's just that's how I am. But anyway, I loved it, and I thought the film actually was very good. I know that everybody in the world has critiqued about it horribly, but I actually enjoyed it very much. And so, Ed, I'm going to ask you to take it away, no pun intended, and share with me your thoughts in regards to how do you feel about the movie as far as the plot is concerned.
Sure. Well, so a little background for those that don't know. October 28th, the films comes out, October 28th, 84. Small little film came out right around the same weekend called The Terminator as well. Two different films.
That's a little film.
Yeah, just a small little film. I'll be back. But anyways, I don't want to get too much off track here. But the part of the film, I mean, first of all, I enjoy it. Some of my favorite sequences, the warehouse sequence, certainly with Paul and Ringo just jamming out, along with Linda and Barbara and just other folks in the band. Tom, I know you've obviously referred to that. That would be a good touring band. I agree. I would love to have, if I were old enough at that point, I would have loved to have seen that. My experience with the film, didn't get to see it in the theaters. First kind of glimpse was probably a year after. I think my dad had a copy of it somewhere on VHS that was copied or borrowed, something like that. I'm trying to remember. So it had been summer or fall of 85, I think. And then years later, when it kind of comes out on the second VHS pressing, I got that, start getting really more into it, going, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I mean, people do criticize the plot, but I mean, a lot of stuff out there. Raiders of the Lost Ark was a guy searching for an artifact. I mean, he's searching for something, yes. I think up until recently, my least favorite.
Wait a minute. Are you comparing Raiders of the Lost Ark to
I'm
Gary
I think he is.
I'm saying that.
I think he is.
He is.
I'm gonna throw out another Indiana Jones fact for you. Filmed on the same studio at the same time as Temple of Doom. So they all got to meet together next door. That's part to the thuggy cult scene, I believe, is filming. So like, oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and check it out, behind the scenes. So Steven Spielberg, McCartney, Harrison Ford kind of got to, catch a little bit of as each film was filming at about the same time. But it's a plot. I mean, until recently, Eleanor's Dream was kind of my least favorite sequence. But I was discussing with Scott McKinley, who does like a lot of voiceover work and stuff like that for folks that don't know what Jude Kessler's series book series. I kind of got to look at that again and kind of got at least a little more appreciation for it. Overall, I love the film. I love the plot. It's one of the few post-Wings, pre-1989 McCartney videos out there, full videos really, not counting the video collections we have now, not counting other stuff that has since come out. I just enjoy it. No More Lonely Nights.
Great song.
Favorite song of mine, of Paul, all time.
You don't say.
Yeah, I don't say, Andy. I know. I've never said that before. First time saying that.
Nothing wrong with that.
And regarding the Raiders of the Lost Ark remark and the Temple of Doom, in the Temple of Doom, there was a great scene with snakes, if I remember correctly. So it would have been kind of fun if it was done. It was the second movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, the first one.
The
Raiders
first one
was
had
first.
Oh, no.
The Raiders had snakes. Temple of Doom had monkey brains and fire.
Big giant
pulling hearts out of the
I'm thinking about the
chest
ballroom dancing scene. That could have been really livened up if the snakes had moved over from one set to the other set, Whoa, we really would have something going. Really wave that sword,
Yeah.
And somewhere Harrison Ford's going ballroom dancing. Why did it have to be ballroom dancing?
Right. Very good. Very good.
But as far as Eleanor's Dream and the when they do that section where he's in the music hall and he's performing, that's while he's in the studio doing For No One, and then Eleanor Rigby, and then they go into Eleanor's Dream. The one thing about the film I didn't like as much as I loved all the Beatles stuff. I think there was too much reliance on the Beatles stuff. And I would have liked to have replaced For No One, as much as I do love the song, with a new original song for the movie. That would have been nice if he had done that. And then done Eleanor Rigby, and then Eleanor's Dream, which to me is the highlight of the whole movie to me.
I agree with you on that, because I think Eleanor's Dream, that was his first foray into classical music.
Yes.
Pretty much. I love that
No, well,
sequence.
not really, because you got
Well,
the family way, and yeah, I
yeah,
know
yeah,
Oh,
the
that's
part.
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But in
Thrillington?
regards to something that would be called classical, I think Eleanor's Dream fits into that category.
Yep.
So I love the music in that. I think the fantasy sequence is okay, but the music itself, I think I like. I know there's some people say, "Oh, I don't like the Eleanor's Dream." Well, I do. I sometimes I put it on at night just to doze off to, because not because it's boring, but because it's nice. It's not. It's not boring. It's a nice.
Paul's
It's a nice.
jealous.
It's a nice. It's better music than a visual piece. I always feel
Right.
it's nice to listen to than a visual thing for me.
Right. Exactly. That's what I meant.
I love the video. I mean, I love the dream sequence, the nightmare actually, and just here they are. They're at this picnic, and they do this very lovely afternoon, and all of a sudden there's some issue with the boat, whatever, it detaches, whatever, and they're off a waterfall, and now he's lost Ringo and he's lost Linda.
There you go.
There we
There you
go.
go.
And now he's chasing whatever he's chasing. I don't remember what he's chasing, but he's frantic and all that. He goes through this whole routine where it becomes very London, very old time London scenes.
This
And
is
it's
the sepia
Yeah.
tone.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the scene with the mirage of Linda on the horse. I mean, it's just beautiful cinematography,
Mhm.
and it's definitely another just a fantasy sequence. It doesn't really do much to the plot. It doesn't really move the movie along, but I just thought that it was beautifully done. And there's a lot of stuff like that in the movie that I really did enjoy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially the conversation with Jim that he has, and to me, it's sort of almost like maybe a conversation he would have had with his father at that point if Jim McCartney was still alive. Well, so Ralph Richards, it's a nice, to me, it's a nice little scene. Yeah, people might go, it's a bit he's saying a strange poem, whatever, but very heartfelt. I think very heartfelt to kind of like some old wisdom. And that old Justice Pub, I would love to open up one of those if I ever hit the lottery. I would invite everybody for a drink, and
of course, you would call it the Old Justice Pub.
of course, 100%.
Tom, let me ask you, part of the critique in the movie, do you remember the time frame when Prince's A Purple Rain came out? Was that before Broad Street?
Absolutely. I think it was 83, wasn't it, or 84?
No, it was 84.
It was at 84. And around the same time, I mean, listen, that overshadowed everything, not just Paul McCartney. I
Right.
mean, Purple Rain, I mean, that video was on every hour on the hour, or every radio station, every hour on the hour. I mean, Purple
So
Rain.
as far as the
Scott-
critique,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an hour and a half or whatever it is of Paul McCartney on virtually every
Mhm.
scene, singing well in every song. He's engaged. He's enjoyable to watch in the movie. What is the critique that is so difficult about this movie that people just hated it so much?
Well, because it's not really, there's really no plot to it. I mean, listen, music videos aside, whenever there's no music videos being played, if you want to call them that, I think I find it just very somewhat boring. I mean, look at that ending. That ending. I mean, okay, so you got No More Lonely Nights being played, and then all of a sudden he finds his buddy with the
Yes,
tapes. Just
it's
just
very
by
dramatic.
chance.
There it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I enjoy it, but I don't think I don't love it as much as our good buddy Ed. But I think some of the criticisms are justified. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
but
I mean,
it did have
he needed,
Sir Ralph Richardson.
yes, yes, okay. I mean, one of the poor uses of having a world famous actor.
So did
But
SCTV.
yeah. But but listen, I truly think that he needed somebody to work, a
There it is.
professional script writer to work on this project with
Of
him,
course,
rather
of
than
course.
Paul. I mean, look, you can come up with many ideas as you want, and Paul has had many great ideas over his career of his
Yeah,
lifespan. But sometimes you just need a little hand.
yeah.
Or a little
Hands-
help from some friends.
A little help from some friends, hands across the water, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so I really enjoy the film, though, despite the critique. I just think it's. I just think it was. I enjoyed it just so much, and I was just so thankful that I had that. And then I had the video afterwards, the album. You know, again, I would have liked another original song in the movie, but I No More Lonely Nights is just a great hit. You know, it's the last really big hit that he had. You know.
And it had David Gilmour on guitar.
And David Gilmour's guitar, right?
Yep.
Very Floydian.
Great,
All
very.
Just to let Tom know, I'm looking for the hiking version next. Sorry.
Yeah, keep
Look,
looking.
I'm trying.
That's a joke between Ed and I. Yeah.
I'll mention that this sort of starts setting up where Paul goes next. He starts, when he does finally tour 5 years later, he's starting to play more Beatles songs. He's starting to get more comfortable with his own past.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see this movie is the bridge between the 70s touring days and what he ends up doing on the road from 89 to now.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode of Talk More Talk, where this film kind of has him, embracing his past, with those, redoing those Beatle classics in a way.
Yep, that's true.
Cool. All right. So moving on to the next section. I've asked everybody if they could come up with the top 5 of songs they'd like to hear Paul play in his upcoming tour. He's doing a tour of South America, and he's doing a tour of Europe and UK later in the year, in which Andy, we're very, very jealous of, is attending, and so that's all very exciting. And so on this upcoming tour, what songs would you like to hear Paul sing? Mark, let's start with you.
Okay. Can I say something about Broad Street? I know
Please,
you didn't live
absolutely.
So
Get right in on it.
Yeah, I always like to film. Story is kind of light, but then so is the story on Magical Mystery Tour. So that's just kind of what the Beatles do. They do, or solo too. I do like the Eleanor's Dream sequence. I thought it was one of the best things. In fact, I thought he should have had more dream sequences and maybe less plot, and just gone full forward. I would more when it came out. I was so upset that he remade things like Wonderlust, even though it's on this album, because he just did it. And Ballroom Dancing is a favorite, but he just did it. And it's like, new songs, please. And I knew he had already a bunch of new songs or older songs that he'd never released. He could have slapped those in there.
Absolutely.
And I was also disappointed at the time when the second single released from the album was the first single with a different B-side. And it's like, why wasn't No Values or Not Such a Bad Boy released as a single? It still bugs me. It's 40 years later, it still bugs me.
If the movie was a hit, I'm sure we would have had one of those as a second single.
It didn't matter if the movie was a hit. I mean,
The
it's like
songs are good.
there's movies where the song will be a hit and the movie's a stinker. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I know there's movies like that where you have a big hit song and it's like, who cares about the movie?
No Values would have been a great hit. I mean, it's a great song.
Xanadu.
He kept saying, "Oh, No Values."
Xanadu.
That's a perfect example. The movie flopped, had many hit singles. So
Magic.
There you go.
The Fire.
And the title song
Magic,
and All Around the World. So there we go. Anyway, back to this movie. That's my complaints about that. But I still love it, because it's Paul. And hey, the only thing is, since it didn't do very well, he never did another one. So it's like, But anyway, okay, top 5. I tried to pick songs he's never, ever, ever, never played. Now, if he has, I have not seen Paul live since 2005. So if he has in recent years, well, sorry. I just, I try to keep following up and watch the set lists and Beatle fan and stuff like that. So to my knowledge, he's never played these 5, and one of them he's never released. Hey, I went there. As far as I know, he's never sang With a Little Luck in concert ever, ever, never. Okay. I just love that song, and it's like, okay, you rehearsed it, but that's not the same as doing it on a tour, and Second one, which has always befuddled me, and I said it when I've been on shows before about Ram and other things. Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey. Never, 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 ever, never. It's like, why not? You know. Number 3, Return to Pepperland, and he should release it officially.
Oh, yes.
Number 4,
Nice, Mark.
this number 4, this is just a personal one. I like it. You know, it's not a big hit. In fact, not everyone like it. Average Person, I think he should do.
That's a good choice, actually. Yes.
You know, and I think he can have fun with all of these, and I'll get to my last one. He can have fun with all of these on stage, you know, being a lion tamer or whatever, you know, and just having fun, or having a bunch of dancers come out and do all this stuff. Who knows? You know, same thing with Admiral Halsey. He could be on a boat and stuff like that, you know, just have fun with it. But, you know, he's never done. And then, as far as I know, he's never done press, right?
Yeah,
So,
I like that.
So those are my choices. So, anyway.
Very cool.
Love it.
Ed, you want to go next?
All right. Well, the first song is absolutely going to shock everybody. I'm sure of it. But my top 5: No More Lonely Nights.
Okay.
I know everybody's shocked. Everybody's floored with this one. Second one, Take It Away. As far as I know, he's never done it live. These first 2 obviously would have fit in on the '89 tour very well, in my view, when I did get to see him in 1990. Third one, I've Had Enough. This would be a really good rocker. Put in, you know, just really gutsy, go for it. The last
do that in the 70. I think they did that in the '79 tour, didn't they?
I've Had Enough.
Yes.
They did. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Not in the US. I'd love to.
There was no US tour. Just
there was.
UK.
Yeah, no. I mean, like it now. Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
100%. Last 2, Not Such a Bad Boy and No Values. Of course, I'd love to hear those. Hey, you know what?
Take all the songs.
Put it all out there.
That's why they call him Mr. Broad Street.
Yeah.
Play the Broad Street album in Toto. You know,
There you go.
The 40th anniversary tour. My biggest flop album. Extended Eleanor Street Live.
It was number one.
Flop.
The album was number 1 in the UK, though.
That's true.
Number 21 US. Yeah.
Daniel, do you have a top 5?
I do. Excuse me. I'm going to go vote for Junk, which I just always loved. The aforementioned Backseat of My Car. I would love to see him close out a set with that. He hasn't played this in a long time. 1985. I always really liked that. You mentioned Take It Away. That was one of my votes. He's only played this next song once, as far as I know. Temporary Secretary. He did play it in 2017. It's awesome.
Yeah. That was such a surprise when he played that.
And another one he hasn't played in a long time is Getting Closer. I love to hear that. Yeah.
Good choice.
Excellent. Yep.
Kit?
Okay, well, some of these he played in the 70s and all, but I've never heard him do them live, so I would freak out if he would do these, because I want to hear them. Soily, ever since I've heard them on this, bring it back. Bring it back.
And maybe he will, with one hand clapping being.
God,
out there.
I would. He might. Same thing with Bring Back Rock Show. I mean, I love Rock Show, and I mean, open your concerts with that again. Come on, Paul. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yes.
I mean, come on. You know, I love it, and I've never heard him do it live. I can't remember him bringing that back. Okay, Mark, jumping off your suggestion of press, Only Love Remains. I would love to hear him do that live. I love it. I think that's one of his best ballads, and I would just adore hearing him do that. Love it if he'd bring back Bluebird. I love that version. I didn't love the version so much on One Hand Clapping. I liked the version he did in Rock Show. I liked it better with the acoustic guitars, and I've always adored
the rhythm box.
And the rhythm box.
Rhythm box. It's a box.
It's a box. Yep. If he
See the things we can do these days.
If he wanted to bring it back that way, I'd be cool with it. But again, I've never heard him do it live. And one of my favorites that I actually posted on my Facebook page in honor of his birthday, Arrow Through Me. I love to hear him do
Yes.
it. That's one of my favorites. Yes, Ed. Yes, Ed. I
Me too.
love Arrow Through Me.
Love
And
that.
basically, I would take anything from Back to the Egg. I'm not. That's another of it. If he wanted to do a tour of Back to the Egg, playing everything, I'd be cool with that.
Kid, I know why you love Arrow Through Me, because it's such a crossover of the genres that you love. Arrow
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's
Yep.
got that R&B kind of
That's
feel
why
to
you.
it,
That's
a little
why I
bit
could
of
know.
funk.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew that's why you would go with that one. For
Oh,
sure.
he'll have
right.
to do it with the real horns on tour, not do it with the
Exactly.
synth horn.
Bring back the horn section. No,
They're
not
back.
with synths. Yep, exactly. They're back. I was so thrilled when he brought that back. Yeah, forget the cheesy synth sounds. No. Real horns. Yep, real horns.
Doing it by himself, you know. I don't need the horn. I don't need the horn section. I can do it
Yeah,
myself.
no. No. You've got some real horns, Paul.
Carole King did a tour some years ago. She called the Living Room Tour, and
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
she improvised the horns. You know, trying to get the audience to, me the horns here. Can
Yeah.
anybody play the horns?
No. That's cheating. Sorry,
We want
Carol.
the real thing is what we want. Daniel, I'm just going to run back to you for a second because I'm making a list. I want to put a Spotify playlist together for everybody. I can put it in the show notes, and it's where we can kind of have our group playlist here.
Nice.
Daniel, you after Temporary Secretary, what was the other one?
I was going to recommend Getting Closer.
Getting Closer, right? Another Back to the Egg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, Andy.
All right. So my five are kind of more like, some of them have been played. Well, two of them are stalwarts. So they're all from the 70s. So, and I've made this now with, now that I'm going to see him. So that changes my list a little bit. Like Kit said Soily. I'm right with her on Soily. And this is in no order, by the way.
Yeah.
I do want to hear him sing Maybe I'm Amazed. And I don't care how his voice sounds. Got to hear that song.
Yeah.
I know I got to hear it. I got to hear that song. I know it's going to be a tough one. It's not going to be nearly as good, but the fact that he even tries to sing it and belts his heart out,
Yeah,
good enough for me,
absolutely.
I'd love to see the show close with Hi, 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 which he's done over the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
But that's worked its way back in. And if that could come back to close the show, that would be awesome. I saw him do that once in Brooklyn. I'd love to see Good Night Tonight work its way into a show somehow.
Yeah.
Whether that'd be a great early set song if that would get the place lit, and it would never happen in 2024. But I'd love to see him do Girls' School.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
Let me ask you Andy,
yeah.
about
He
Girls'
bleeps all
School.
the words.
Is it about a Catholic school? Because they got the nuns. Because they got the nuns, or he's singing about the nuns or whatever. And I remember I went to Catholic school when I was a young kid, and that's what was. I mean,
I thought it was a string of porno film titles. That's what
That's
I
what
heard.
it was. He got them out of a magazine.
I had a
Sure, he
Catholic
got
church.
it out of a magazine. It was
Head
on the
nurse,
shelf.
head nurse is Sister Scarla. Who knows? It's probably a movie. Go search it up.
Oriental Princess.
Right. But it would never happen. But that's such a great
No.
rocker. And obviously the Wings sound is so central in that song.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah.
Linda
It's
and
really
stuff.
good Wings.
Impossible to
Great
do,
song.
but that's just a fantasy wish if that song because it's such a great rocker.
Maybe he could
All
do
right.
like when he did the Abbey Road memory melody medley, where he says, "I don't remember the words to this part."
Yeah.
Doesn't remember the words.
Just go to the chorus or every
night.
Wink,
It's,
wink.
it's like every night he didn't remember the words. It's like he didn't leave the show and say, "Oh, what were those words over there?" Or they didn't put it up on the the big video screen. that he's
Screen.
looking
He
at
could
now.
probably hand it off to the audience, and the audience would have shouted.
Yeah,
Really?
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know the words. Do you?
What are the words?
Yeah, no problem. We'll help you.
I hear girls screaming. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, can you give me a list?
I can give you my list, and these are songs he has never done live before, and I would
Okay.
love to see him do live. One is number 10 hit from 1974 that he's never done live. I don't understand, but Hell on Wheels. I still think he can handle singing Hell on Wheels. This is a song that I don't necessarily love, but I think the crowd would go crazy if he just whipped out Waterfalls.
Yeah.
Especially with Wix. Wix could handle that very easily, and it could be the surprise, like Temporary Secretary was the surprise.
It
Of
really
that
works
tour.
with his voice now too.
I think so.
Because
Another one that
it's got that kind of song where he's
right.
I can't think of the word right now, but he's
we would all love to hear
apologetic, you know?
Waterfalls, but I don't know if that would work
Right.
in a 60,000 arena setting.
Well,
we would love it,
We'll
but
see.
Yeah.
We would love it. Yeah. Another one that would be great. And this was his last top 10 hit, and that was "Spies Like Us." I still love that song to this day, and think that would be fun just as much as I agree with Mark that Press would be great to have him do live. So I would definitely put Press in there. And then the song he should have done in 2022 instead of Women and Wives is "Find My Way." That's the song that he should have been going out on the that's the song he should have been going out on the road with the release of McCartney 3. "Find My Way." So those are my 5.
Okay, I'm missing one. I have Waterfalls. Oh, I have
Helen Wheels.
Helen Wheels,
Helen Wheels.
Waterfalls, Spies Like Us,
Like
and
Us.
Find My Way. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Fred?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I would like to see, if I was going to see the show, I would like to see him do "I'm Carrying." That's a beautiful song. "Name and Address." I think that's the song that he had intended for Elvis. And it would be great to see him do his Elvis for that.
Okay.
"Someone Who Cares." That's one of my favorite
Beautiful
songs.
song.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Now this one I think could rock the stadium. "Pretty Little Head."
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
which
rock the
version?
stadium.
Which version?
Yeah.
I know.
That's a good
I
question.
like the one that's on Press to Play, but I also like the other version, which I think where he
The
says,
video
"Gonna
version?
take care of you,"
Right.
line. So either version or a combination of the two would be fantastic. Could you just imagine the stadium during that, rocking out? That'd be fantastic. And then
Absolutely.
the final song, it was a toss-up. Everybody already said "No More Lonely Nights," but I would like to see him do "Beautiful Night."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they could get Ringo on, that'd be even better.
Oh man, yes.
That could really work well, I think, in a stadium because particularly at the end when it really explodes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd work. Yeah.
Beautiful night.
Yeah.
Beautiful night.
Yeah. Great
Your
ending.
pretty little head.
Yeah.
Pretty low.
Way on your way, thank you.
I'd lead the group in Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. Yeah.
All right. Le Soleil. Who's with me?
He could like point to a side of the audience. Ursa Major.
Major. Ursa
Minor. People are like, what's this song?
Yeah, really. And we'd be the nerds to be like, yeah. This is fire.
Hey, I went to a Paul McCartney tribute thing, which the guys were fantastic. They could play you just called out the song and they played it. And I called out Orchestra's theme.
Yeah.
And it did the "I have not had any dinner." Everybody else was quiet. They didn't know what the heck. But me and another guy knew the words.
We were very lucky at the Fest for Beatles fans because Lawrence Juber and I think Steve Holly. Steve Holly there also?
Yeah, Holly was there as well.
Not this past year.
Yeah.
Well, I was fortunate to see Lawrence Juber some years ago at the Cutting Room do a show, and he was wonderful. And Steve Holly made a surprise appearance as the drummer, so I got to see at least the last version of Wings.
Yeah.
Finally, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Well, Lawrence Juber did a nice tribute to Denny Lane at the Fest, and then later on, then during that show, they did a nice version of Rockestra with the band, with everybody that was the bands that were playing there. And then, of course, there in the fest, there's also an area where there's like a bandstand area where all these other bands are playing. And Lawrence, and I thought it was Steve Holly also, had come in and they played with some band that was playing in there, and they did an extremely great version of Rockestra. It was just so exciting. Anyway, let me get on to my list here. And some of my little songs have already been covered, but I had chosen Arrow Through Me, which has also been one of my favorites from the Wing 79 tour, and always been one of my favorites from that album. I love that. No More Lonely Nights, and I would have liked to throw it in to play the playout version sort of at the end of it, because it can get a little bit dirge, like a little bit when you're playing it live in concert. So maybe if we just kind of no lonely nights, and now and 5 people would be going no lonely nights,
It's fun.
One of These Days during the acoustic section would have been very nice. Always been one of my favorites from that album. My favorite from the McCartney 3 was Find My Way, and that definitely should have been a hit. I don't know who the marketing people are or what the hell is going on over there, but just was not promoted well, and I don't know, but whatever. That's a great song. That should have been the song that led that tour. And then number one, to me, is the best thing he's made since, maybe Only Love Remains, maybe, My Love, and all those songs, great romantic songs he's written. This never happened before. From the Lake House.
I love it. Chaos.
I love Tom's. I love my partner's story about that song.
Tom, tell us the story, please.
I was in Texas. I used to, I'm a chef, and I used to work with a company called Kona Grill, and we whenever they hire sous chefs or chefs, they send them to their headquarters in San Antonio, Texas. So while I was staying there, I went to a bar one night, and there's this guy up there just playing music, and this was, I think, 2008, and he was just playing music, and then out of the blue, he started singing "This Never Happened Before," and I was just like blown away, because that was the last thing I thought I'd hear in a Texas bar. So after the set, I went up to him and said, "Hey, look, that was amazing," and he goes, "Well, gee, I didn't think anybody would know that song in a Texas bar." We had a fun little chat, and he said that he was commissioned for a wedding, and they wanted him to play that song. So he just was practicing the song that night at the bar. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that along with Only Love Remains should be a staple at weddings.
Yeah.
And it's criminal that it isn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my top 5. So I just want to say before we get closing up here, this is the 3rd Paul McCartney birthday party that I've had on my podcast, which represents now that this podcast is now a little bit more than 2 years old. And Kit, who was my very first guest, and I believe she was on the second time we did a Paul McCartney show, and here with us once again tonight, and it makes me feel all goose pimpled and like a 12-year-old girl again, and whatever. I know I really shouldn't be saying that, but it's it makes me feel good, and I'm here with a lot of people who are friends, new friends, and friends that I've known online or through podcasts and the last number of years, and it's been so much fun. And so I want to just ask everybody to go around one time and to give a little info as to where people can reach out to you. Dan, do you want to get started?
I'll give her a go. Hi, I'm Daniel Costin. If you don't know me, I'm Daniel Costin. I am a writer, photographer, record producer, lots of thises and that's. You can find me on Facebook under Daniel Costin Photos on Instagram. I'm also one of the organizers of Fab Fest, the Beatles festival here, which now be in October, first weekend of October in Charlotte, North Carolina. So please stay tuned. I'll mention that I am working with The Circle. Actually, I produced the new Circle album, first album in 57 years. years. They'll be doing some shows with Pete Best next month, including a show in Columbus, Ohio on July 28th. Please come by and say hello for that. And then I've got a few other things I'm either photographing or producing coming up soon. So drop me a line, say hello, and happy birthday, Paul.
Regarding the Fab Fest, I understand that a Paul McCartney tribute band, is it Live and Let Die, or is it Sir Paul that's going to be performing?
I believe it's Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
It'll be on Friday night. No, I'm sorry. Actually, it'll be on Saturday night. We're going to do the big Tosco Beatles tribute with multiple acts Friday night this year. This will be a first.
Okay.
And so that'll be Friday, and then the Paul tribute on Saturday. And guests are still being lined up as we speak.
I was there last year. It was a tremendous show, tremendous convention, and I hope to make it again this year. I just saw lightning. I don't know what that was. Okay. 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 Ed Crawford, you want to go next?
I'll go ahead.
Where can we people find you?
Yeah, well, people can find me. Call me Mr. Broadstreet. So, so I do my YouTube channel, of course. I know, quite a few folks on here. Obviously, thank you guys for your support and new folks I've met. Great to meet you all. So I'm on YouTube. I'll actually be doing a review of One Man Clapping, my own, sit down and listen. I'm on YouTube. Also, I'm on Instagram, Call Me Mr. Broadstreet, and TikTok, Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. So all across every platform, that's the name I'm going under.
Cool. Okay, and Mark?
Hi, I do Fun Ideas podcast, and half the people on the screen have been on the show. So I've had Ed Rising, Kid O'Toole, Fred Velez, and Daniel Costin. I've even had the Circle on the show. So, but I do other non-music related stuff, so that's why it's not always Beatles or whatever. So I talk about comic books and animation and TV and movies and other stuff like that. But you can find me on YouTube for the video versions of those podcasts, or the audio versions are on the typical formats. It's done through Podomatic, and then I write a bunch of books. I plugged my Turtles book a little bit earlier. This is co-written with Charles F. Rosenay, which I'm surprised he's not here. But anyway, this is Not Just Happy Together, the Turtles from A to Z, AM radio to Zappa. And it's a big, thick book.
Wow.
Yes, it is. I have my copy.
And it's bigger than I thought it'd be, actually. I didn't know it was going to be jumbo size. But anyway, I'm also going to go to England for the very first time, going on Charles F. Rosenay's Liverpool tour. So
Cool.
If anyone here is going, well, I'll see you there. If they're not, well, I won't. But that'll be August 10th through the 20th, I believe, is the date, something like that. I'll remember when it's August. I don't remember right now. And anyway, what else is going on? Working on other books. I'm working on a Crazy magazine book, and you'd say, why would I pick Crazy? Well, I've already done Mad and Cracked, so it's like that's the next one. And what else? Yeah, I write articles for Back Issue magazine about comic book stuff, and I'm around. You can see me on Facebook, and I have my own Wikipedia page and IMDb page and blah blah blah. And so I'm here.
He's the king. He's Mark Arnold. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so glad you were here with us tonight. Fred, where can we find you? And please tell us all about your Monkeys stuff and the Monkeys pages and whatnot.
Sure. Folks can find me on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram, and also on my website, freddypop.com. I don't know, maybe I could see that. freddypop.wordpress.com.
Mhm.
So you can find me on that. And I'm the author of 2 monkey books. Here they are. A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, the monkeys from a fan's perspective, and A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You 2, the monkeys from international fan perspectives. They're my experiences with the monkeys and other fans' experiences with the monkeys. And in the second book, I've got interviews with the folks from the Zilch podcast, Valerie Carey's Benet, who is a friend of the monkeys, also worked on the series as an actress, and 2 members of the New Monkeys, Dino Kovis and Marty Ross, are their interviews in here. So it's a fun book. These are fun books, and monkey fans who want to know a little bit about stuff from the 80s can go into these books as well. And you can find these on Amazon in both Kindle and print editions, and also on Apple Books and Barnes & Noble Nook. So folks, you can look up those books there. And let's see, and that's a bit much for me. So next person.
Okay. How about Andy?
Well, me and my partner Tom, we're going to be live streaming our 251st episode, which is a full review, track by track of One Hand Clapping, which will be out probably after this gets posted, so it won't be live at that point anymore. But that will be on our channel. That's Two Legs of Paul McCartney podcast on YouTube and on Podbean, wherever you get your podcast. Yeah. Yeah, we don't, this non-buying, we don't know. It's just everybody there was a lot of criticism about the cover, right? Well, we don't know. Saw a lot of comments about the cover today, but it's music. Who cares? It's the music inside that's great. Come on.
If Nirvana could get away with it, so can Paul.
Exactly.
I think so.
Exactly. So that's our next.
And the Beatles had a white album cover, and
with babies on it.
The Pogues certainly had a white album cover. So
Yeah, that's our next show, and then we just recently hit the 2,000 subscriber mark, and we're climbing, so we're getting there, and we're growing with that as well. So thank you for those getting us up in the subs.
Cool. And Tom?
Yeah, like my partner said, Andy Nichols, we are a part of a Paul McCartney podcast called Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. We are on YouTube, so please check us out and subscribe. We're all over the audio formats as well, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we are there. And as Andy said, we just celebrated our 250th episode, which was a lot of fun. We had some great guests. Some of them are here tonight, and it was just a lot of fun. If you want to email us, you can email us at twolegspodcast@gmail.com. Also on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Two Legs Podcast. As I said, my name is Tom Hunyadi. You can find me on Facebook there, and on Instagram as X as well. And I also co-host another show called Talk More Talk, which I do with our friend and queen, Kid O'Toole. And we just did an episode the other night about the album of the hour, One Hand Clapping, which was a lot of fun. We just gave our thoughts on that release. And then next month, I think I don't know if you want to say now, but I think it's going to be it's going to be a Mind Games month. We're just going to celebrate the Mind Games album. Yeah, I know exactly. We're gonna the first episode of the month will be focused on the album, the sessions, and our thoughts on the album. And then the second episode of the month will be reviewing the big Mind Games set. So, but go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, two things. One, get the latest the coming up issue of Uncut.
Yeah,
has a cover story on John Lennon Mind Games, and comes with a special little booklet of his catalog, but also comes with an additional bonus CD, which will have tracks from the Mind Games box set, including I'm the Greatest. It's going to be in there.
The Greatest, right. Yeah. Which it is one of the Easter eggs that's on the set, and it also was on the Mind Games EP that was available for Record Store Day, which some of us got, which was great. Right. So yeah, I mean, again, we're Two Legs and Talk More Talk. We're all over the place, and Kid O'Toole will elaborate on that a little bit more when you get to her.
Oh, can I just interject one last thing? Anybody who wants to get signed copies of my books, go to freddypop.wordpress.com. You'll get, and you could order signed copies of the book. Or if you just want regular copies or Kindles, go on Amazon. Cool. Okay, Kit.
Before we go, Tom, thank you for that preview on the upcoming Talk More Talk. And now usually I do the ladies last. But this time around, we do the queen last, because she's always deserves that extra extra moment. So Queen, take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Ed, and thank you so much for having me on the show. It's an honor. I didn't realize I was your first guest. That's really neat. So
Traitor, you were our first
I
guest. How can you
know,
be somebody else's first guest?
oh, this is
We
crazy.
can all share Kiddo Tool. It's okay.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right.
It's enough
okay.
of me to go around,
All right,
you know.
all right.
I mean, that's
Oh, it's the Queen.
yeah. So that's really sweet. So anyway, yes, as Tom said, it's going to be Mind Games month next month. So please join us, Talk More Talk. But of course, you can view our latest episode on our YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. We're on any podcasting platform you can think of. So please check us out there. I'm also a co-host with Ed Chen and Martin Quibell on Toppermost of the Poppermost. It's a podcast only. We have been tracing the history of the Beatles on the charts from the time of their debut. And also we talk about the other artists on the charts that either have a direct connection to the Beatles or influence them in some way. So it's not just about the Beatles, but about the other acts on the charts. So if you want to hear a bit more information about other acts of the British invasion, or, we even talk about Henry Mancini, we talk about, other artists of the time. This is the show.
I wonder who you'll have as a guest when the monkeys start entering the charts.
We might have certain, we do occasionally have guests. So, you never know who's going to show up, exactly. So some people here or perhaps other kinds of bands that were other, and it's like some people here may be getting a call soon. So, yep. I hope. So,
I'm putting my vote in for a 66 tour. I'm putting that in now.
Yeah, there you go. So you can find all our episodes on toppermostofthepoppermost.net. That's probably the easiest way to find, but we're on all different podcast platforms. So please look for us there. And also, as Ed mentioned at the beginning of the program, I do teach various courses on music through Monmouth University. I'll be doing that again in September, and I will be teaching a course on the history of funk. So if you like James Brown, that kind of stuff, this is the course for you. So information will be available pretty soon. That the registration hasn't gone up yet, but you can follow me on Facebook. You can also follow the Talk More Talk page on Facebook. I post stuff up there. I'm on Twitter, Kiddo Tool. So I'm pretty much everywhere. And finally, if you're coming to the Fest for Beatles Fans in August, 9th through the 11th, I'll be there. Tom will be there. Andy will be there. We're going to be doing a Talk More Talk panel. There will be a Two Legs panel, Toppermost of the Poppermost panel. So we'll all be there. Hope to see all of you there. So please come and say hi to all of us and buy our t-shirts, books. You can find my books on Amazon, by the way. But of course, if you buy one from me there, I'll sign it for you. So.
Buy our books. Buy our books.
Buy our books.
Well, let's one more time give a great happy birthday to Paul McCartney, and 82 years old, 82 years young.
Happy birthday!
And hopefully you'll have a lot
Paul.
more stuff to give us, music to make, and life to live and enjoy, and family and love, and I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. My name is Ed Rising, and this is Ed's Pop-O-Matic Podcast, a pop culture podcast, which I can't forget. I can't remember the line, Fred. A pop culture podcast where everything beats you if you keep it in your heart. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Have a very good night, and we love you.
Peace and love.